Disney Speedstorm is an absolute bloodbath, and that's just one comment from me just asking one simple question. How has your ranked experience been so far in Season 5? Today, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about my ranked experience as well as yours. Let's get into it. Now, this is a new video format. You probably noticed the video is quite long, but this is because I want to try to do something new. I want to do kind of like a video podcast sort of thing. Basically, I'm going to ask a question on the community post. You guys are going to give your answers, and some of the comments are going to end up in the video, and we're going to talk about it together. Every single one that is released will be released at the same time every single week. So it's something for you guys to look forward to. So the first comment that we have is from Zeke Slider. Zeke Slider says, it's still a chore, and I'm only doing it for the free tokens, so I don't have to spend money on an actual game. And I gotta say, I find that pretty funny because they're not wrong. Usually you'll have one of these two players. You'll have a player that is someone like me, where you really want to climb that ladder. You really want to prove yourself. You know, I don't really want to be the rank 1 person, but I do want to get to the top of the ladder. And I do that in every game. League of Legends, Smite, Overwatch. Like, these are games where they pretty much, the better you are, the more ranked you get. And then you have players like Zeke Slider here, where it's like, well, I want it for the cosmetics, I want it for the coins, so I can buy things from the shop. I want it for the upgrade parts. There's a lot of reasons to play ranked, but it's not for the same reason. And I think this right here is where Disney Speedstorm missed its mark, because they're not really satisfying both parties. If you think about players like me who want to climb and get better and all that extra good stuff, eventually your skill won't matter anymore, because stars and levels start to matter a lot more the higher you get. When everybody's on the same playing field, you're probably not going to be able to beat them if they have an advantage. This is why in pro play on games, you'll see the same thing. Like, if we look at like pro play in League of Legends, or pro play in Smite, or just any of the games that you watch as an esports, you'll notice that they take a specific loadout, or you'll notice that they'll pick specific characters because they have an edge over everyone else. So when everyone's the same skill level and someone has an edge because of crew members, stars, the character is just better, any of that, you start to see, especially in this game, because there's not really much of a balance to it, you start to see a major gap between the players. And right now, especially in high rank, the main thing you want is invincibility or invulnerability. Or speed. If you can manage to get away from everybody, it doesn't really matter. So like Buzz, for an example, that's one of those characters that can get so far away from you that it doesn't matter that you have a lot of stuff, you know? So when we think about it that way, I mean, you're kind of pigeonholed. And then as far as Zeke Sliders was saying, Zeke was basically saying, well, I do it for the items. And that's also not really a good reason to play ranked. If they separate the two, then they can satisfy the people like me, and they can satisfy the other players like Zeke Slider, which is what they should have done in the first place. You could say, well, there's regulated, but that's not really a lot of materials, items, shards, whatever, and it's not really fixing the problem here. What I think should happen is, for ranked players, they should have a whole bunch of, like, they should basically have it be regulated. And I honestly think they should remove these skills, the character abilities, I mean. If they remove the character abilities, it will make it so that you don't have to worry about that. And then they make the skills level 1. So all the skills, the shields, the fire trail, the disc throw, all this stuff is level 1. Because as you upgrade your character with stars, you can upgrade the skill. And you can even upgrade the skill with crew members. So now we have overloaded abilities and skills, which just make rank unfun. But imagine if there's no character abilities and it's just the skills. Then that means that you kind of get the Mario Kart effect, but you also get the skill in there. Like, you're not going to be able to beat them. And I also think all characters should have the exact same stats. When they have the exact same stats, then that makes it so that everyone's on an even playing field. I also think they'll have to either add more stats or remove stats entirely. Now, I know there's a class system, but honestly, it doesn't provide so much where you feel like you're different classes. Pretty much, if you're a brawler, the main thing is you get to stun people. If you are a defender, the main thing is that you get a shield. And I don't think that's enough to classify a class, because you have the other two classes hanging. And if we just basically make it so that all characters are the same stats, but different classes will have different stats, so to speak, then it's kind of like, well, all tricksters are the same, all brawlers are the same. And that would make it a lot better. And I also think they should remove ramming, but that's a whole nother thing entirely. So we could talk about ramming in another video. Again, like and subscribe, that way you don't miss that one. But I'm saying this because that would make ranked a lot more fair. So remove character abilities, keep skills level 1, remove ramming, and then maybe do something about the class system so that characters are more balanced. They're more together in terms of speed and handling, so that way they're not outclassed by, let's just say, some maps are a straight line. So characters with more top speed have an easier time winning. But then you have some maps like Lilo and Stitch, where it's just extremely windy and characters with top speed and low handling lose. There's just a lot of things stacked against you, and that's not really a good rank system. Now, on the flip side, it would be kind of nice to see like a frantic mode. And this would be everything's allowed, your stars allowed, your levels are allowed, and there's different modes within there. So you have the follow the leader mode, you have the color change mode, you have the floating objects mode, you have the fog mode. All of these things we see in Season 4 should be in that frantic mode. And in that mode, you earn what Zeke Slider said. You earn the multiplayer tokens, you earn cosmetics, and all that extra good stuff. And then when you're playing ranked, when you reach a specific rank, and I think rank should be account bound, not rank for each character, because that's very tedious. So account bound rank, and as you climb, the tracks get faster and the top speed of everybody gets faster, and all that extra good stuff. And then with frantic mode, you do each character, and each character has a reason for you to play the frantic mode, which means you are going to have to start up your character, you are going to have to level up your racer, but at least it doesn't feel like you're losing rank because of it. You don't lose any points, it's just you win, you get more. If you lose, you don't get any points, and it's more relaxed. I feel like that would help solve that problem, like, for both parties, no? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, but we are going to move on to the next comment, which is Bookish. Bookish said, star level ruins it. Too easy to level 1 5-star to emerald or diamond. Now, I do want to kind of answer this with a, I do want to answer this with something. So I do agree stars are pretty overloaded, but also I feel like a lot of players aren't looking at it through the lens of a lot of the average players. Now, I don't consider myself an average player for one of the two reasons, or for both of these reasons, not one of the two, but for both of them. I reached top 100, right? So obviously I'm not an average player, but also I'm just good at the game. And that's not to toot my own horn, but I can tell the difference between me and an average player that's just casually enjoying the game. I'm a hardcore gamer. I will pretty much do my best on any game. If I suck, I suck, but I'm gonna suck really good. That's pretty much what I'm saying. So you can tell a difference. And so with comments like this from Bookish, also, I appreciate you leaving the comment, it kind of doesn't really prove that, because I can pull that off, but let's just say an average person, like maybe my cousin or something, they might not be able to pull it off because they're an average player. And so this kind of also breaks that realm of ranked, because here you are with players that are extremely good or just above average winning out, even though they have less stars and less levels, or they don't need to level and they can just use their stars like I did in my video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But stars do give hidden stats. And so for me, I'm able to use those stats to my advantage and actually win matches. Whereas an average player might not be able to pull that off because they might not drift all that well. They might not use the abilities that well. There's a lot of factors. And that doesn't mean you suck. That just means you're not as hardcore as like a lot of us that spend 200, 300, 400, 500 hours on Disney Speedstorm. Yes, I've literally spent over 400 hours on Disney Speedstorm. So that is why I could pull that off. But someone who's like, oh, I play casually, maybe 20 hours total is what I've got, and I played for like 3 months, well then, you're not gonna be able to pull off that. And so again, that like breaks the ranked atmosphere, because not only are you losing because you don't have the same stats, but players that are better than you are still going to beat you, which means the rank system is actually pushing you up when you shouldn't go up. And you're going to either hit a wall for one of these two reasons. You're going to hit a wall and not be able to climb because your character's levels and stats don't meet the requirements of everybody in that rank, Or you actually do have the character levels and stats that meet the requirement. However, because you're lacking the skill, you're unable to climb higher. And again, that doesn't mean you suck, but there's a lot of like people who spend 200, 300, 400 hours on this game that is that high, and not to mention they actually cash a lot too. So you're at a really, really big disadvantage if you are a casual player and you don't spend a lot of money. So again, just kind of revisiting that comment, I mean, it doesn't really matter because an average player probably can't do that. An average player won't be able to take a level 1 5-star character to Emerald or Diamond. I only made that video because I wanted to showcase the power of stars, but that was not to say that every player, no matter what, can have a level 1 5-star character and reach Diamond like I did. So just to kind of separate the two there. Let's move on to that was a good comment. Let's move on to the next comment here. The next comment that we have is from Alejandro. I always like saying that name, Alejandro. Can you roll your R's? Alejandro. I'm sorry. I apologize. Can you talk about how hot? Can you talk? I can't even talk now. I can't talk, and you're asking me to talk. Can you talk about how in high-ranked matches, there's most of the time a 1v1 race? And that's funny because they did say that they would reduce the numbers, but I have been hearing players complain about that really not happening. And maybe what you think could be the solution to fix the problem. That'll be nice. Cheers. Hey, cheers to you too, Alejandro. You know, for the longest time, I thought cheers was like, because I'm an American. So, you know, when I was young, you would just say cheers and then you like clink the glasses. But I just thought that's something that you said. And as I grew up, I started to notice cheers for other languages, or not other languages, but other parts of the world. It means, you know, either thank you or, you know, see you later or something like that. So I always thought that was interesting. That was just completely off topic. Let's move on. So let's dissect this comment here. So we have, can you talk about how there are 1v1 races in higher ranks? And they are not wrong. And one of the issues to this is that players are unable to reach those high ranks, right? And so we start to see a lot of fall off here. If we think about, let's just say there's 100 players, right? And out of that 100, there's 50 that is stuck at 2 stars, level 25. You have another 50 that has 3 stars, I don't know, level 30, I guess. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You got 3 stars, right? That means that they're going to break off from that 25, and now we're only left with 50 players, right? And if we break that down and say 25 of those 50 are at 4 stars, well, then those 25 are broken down, and then again, the same thing happens. And so again, the rank is limiting you because the players in that rank have certain stats that you just can't compete with. And if you are a hardcore player, you can surpass some of these like challenges and some of these issues. But most of Disney Speedstorm players are not hardcore. We want to relax. We want to chill. We want to just play some games. We want to play our favorite Disney character. We want to have some fun. We want to listen to some good music. And again, that's one of the issues with this rank system is that unless you are a hardcore, you're not winning unless you pay. Period. And even if you are hardcore, once you are at the top with people that are almost the same skill level as you, then you're going to have to pay to be past them, because if they are higher stats than you, you're going to lose anyway. And so let's just say I'm a typical gold player at heart. My skill level is gold, right? Well, I guess that's impossible because they push you. So let's just say my typical skill level is emerald. Well, if my skill level is emerald, but I have a 4-star character or a 5-star character, I'm going to just be able to get there because to diamond because I'm just faster, right? And then now we're going against people that are better than us, like way better than us, because we didn't learn how to get better. And this is why rank systems in games like League of Legends, Overwatch, stuff like that, they have it set so that way when you climb a rank, you're slowly playing against better players. Even Fortnite has it. You're slowly playing against better players until you get better. And that's one thing I do like about Rocket Racing. If you guys haven't seen me play that, it's on my channel. But Rocket Racing does this. It has a rank system so that when you do climb, just little by little, you start to realize how better players are getting. And then you have time to sit in that rank and stew in your own juices, basically, because you're stuck. And it happens. A lot of players stagnate in ranks because that's how it's designed. Once you learn enough, you start climbing. But Disney Speedstorm rewards players for caching pretty much or having higher stats. And then if you have lower stats, it also rewards skill. But you have to handicap yourself for it to reward skill. Otherwise, it's not rewarding skill. And then once you're high enough where everybody's the same skill level, the person that has the better stats wins. So you're kind of always at a disadvantage. even if you have all the same stars and all the same levels, the person with the faster character is probably going to win out, or the person that can remain invisible all the time is probably going to win out, or the person that can remain invulnerable for a long time could win out. And so let's just even cut that down further. So you have the 100 players that then separate into 50, that then separate into 25, that then separate, and just keeps going lower and lower and lower. But you also have the people that are playing specific characters that are not as good once they reach those high ranks. So we're talking about old school Stitch. We're talking about Bo Peep. We're talking about, I can't think of many right now. But you're talking about these characters that are really good at being fast and really good at being invulnerable, which means you're already at a disadvantage for that reason, because they'll keep throwing stuff at you, or they'll put flame trails behind them, and you just can't catch them. You can't hurt them either, so they're just permanently ahead. And that also is a problem, right? So it's now, not only do my levels not meet the requirements, my skill might not meet the requirements, but my character also doesn't meet the requirements to even hang in this elo when you're having the 1v1 and stuff like that. And that's a major issue. And so revisiting that topic of saying, well, how can they maybe fix it and have a solution? Honestly, the best thing to do is to make a frantic mode and make a ranked mode. Frantic mode, stars, levels, have fun, do your thing. We're having a good Mario Kart time. We're going crazy, laughing with my friends, all that extra good stuff. And then you have the ranked mode where it's serious and levels are, there's no levels, right? There's no star level. Character abilities are not there. The thing is with character abilities, I know it's really hard to balance for them because all the character abilities are just broken, like period. And the amount of time, and the amount that you get them is just through the roof. So unless they change the mechanic entirely, I think disabling it would just be a really quick fix. Then you also have the then you just also remove the ramming, so that way brawlers can't just insanely crash into people over and over and over, costing them races. And you also adjust it so that all characters in that same class actually have specific speeds and specific strengths and weaknesses, so you have a reason to play that class. If you think of something like Final Fantasy, you have tanks, you have healers, you have DPS, right? Well, it's the same thing with Speedstorm, right? You have the tanks where it's like, okay, they're really sturdy and durable, but they don't really have a lot of speed and they might not have a lot of handling, right? Then you have the brawlers, which is DPS. Well, it's like, yeah, they're very like strong and they have a lot of cool damage abilities, but they don't have a lot of defense. And so that's kind of going to hinder them because they can't block attacks as much. Then you have the healers, which are probably going to be like, that's rough, but you guys get what I'm saying. Different classes do different things, have different strengths and weaknesses. And I think if they balanced it that way, it's a lot easier to balance 4 classes than like 40 something characters and their abilities. So I think that'd be a great way to fix it. Separate them and move on like that, especially with the addition of mobile players. They're not going to be able to compete with controllers, and that's a whole different video entirely. So again, subscribe so you don't miss these. I have so many video ideas for you guys. Make sure you subscribe, that way you're notified for them. Alejandro, thank you for that question. A beautiful question. I hope I answered it. Now, I'm not going to get everybody's comments, but again, I'm trying to get the ones that spark the most conversation so that you guys can talk in the comments below. Let's move on. So we have Jaylevland saying, I'm having the same issue. I'm seeing 4-star racers in platinum, and once you get to NPR 23 with a 2-star racer, you should just stop there because it's just way worse. Even 3 stars for some of my racers have been crazy tough to get to diamond. And again, I do agree with this. Now, for me, myself, I'm a hardcore gamer. You guys know I'm a hardcore gamer. I mean, I make guides for you guys. I mean, what player that is not thousands of hours deep? I'm 400 plus hours deep, but you know what I'm trying to say. I'm able to pull off that 2-star run into diamond with any character. But like they said, it's stressful. It's stressful. It's rough. It's sweaty. It's not fun at all. It's really not. And it's very aggravating. So they are absolutely right. And the only way you're probably going to get to diamond is if you have a 3-star. And then they even said, well, even if you have 3 stars, some of the racers have been crazy tough to get there. And that is true. Some of the racers are better to use than others, especially when you have a full 8-man lobby. So you have racers that are better in an 8-man, and then you have racers that are better in a 1v1. And that is, again, one of the issues that we're experiencing, is that it's not really a skill-based thing. It's a stat-based thing. It's a star-based thing. It's a level-based thing. It's a class-based thing. It's a character-based thing. There's a lot of things that make it harder than it has to be. And that's why I made that ranked video saying, well, maybe you shouldn't play ranked if you are quote unquote whatever. I don't remember what I said specifically, but Basically, you have to look at the game as it's intentionally designed. Hopefully, they will fix it, fine tune, and they will separate these modes and add a real competitive ranked experience, because Disney Speedstorm definitely has the potential to do that. But if they keep not doing that, well, then you're going to basically have to remember that that's the type of game they designed. It's basically come back when you have the stats, otherwise cash it or just wait. And so those are your two options. I wait for it or I cash it. I wait for a sale or I just cash it straight up. And again, I'm not a fan of that. I've never really been a fan of that. When I first started Disney Speedstorm back when it first launched, like day one, I was expecting an extremely good ranked experience. And now I think a lot of players don't remember how ranked was back then, because you might find a lot of experienced players saying things like, well, you can do it because I got a 2-star, blah, blah, blah. I got a 3-star champion, all that extra good stuff. But the thing we have to remember is that back then, there was no such thing as cashing for items. Literally, you had to work for the items that you got. So if we are all starting day one and we all have to work for the items, we're all going to be the same level because we all have to wait for the next event, right? And so sometimes they forget, like, well, there's not a disadvantage back then. There's a major disadvantage now, especially if you're a new player. And I think that's one of the things that Gameloft needs to work on, because there shouldn't be that gap. That's why I feel like having two separate modes would be very useful for people, because you have the people that needs it, have the character to even play ranked, which is they have to buy it anyway. And I think they would have to get 2 stars. Yeah, you can't use your character ability, but if they really want to gap you to the point where you're going to have to spend extra because it is a business, have it be 2 stars, right? Which means that you can't play ranked without it. Yes, as I said before, the character abilities will be removed from ranked anyway. But again, it's just so they can make a little bit more money on the side for having a fair, balanced ranked mode. And then in the frantic mode, you can be whatever star you want, but you're gapping yourself. You're missing out on stats, you're missing out on stars, you're missing out on character abilities, upgraded abilities. You know, this is where crew and all that matters. And that's the frantic mode. And the better your stats, the easier time you have in it. And again, you don't lose points for losing. It's just you don't gain them. So, you need to come in top 4, something like that to gain it. And that is where they will have different ranks per character. So I think if they did that, it will eliminate this gap between the two. Because right now, I think the idea to eliminate the gap is just to have people pay, to breach that gap. But a lot of people can't afford this. And a lot of people don't even want to pay this much for it. These things cost a lot. And I actually do have a mobile video coming out soon talking more about what maybe we can expect and what they will probably do. So again, subscribe, that way you are notified, and hit that like button if you are enjoying the conversation. Good comment, Cleverland. Let's move on to the next one. So the next comment is from Raiku. They said, honestly, I find ranked to be dreadful at the moment. Basically, they're saying, and you guys can read it, it should be on the screen somewhere, but basically they are saying that one game is versus a certain amount of levels, and then they queue up again and they got level 40s and 4 stars, 5 stars, whatever, and they don't understand that balance. And I do agree. That is how it kind of is right now. And I've noticed that whether I'm playing high levels, low levels, 5 stars, 1 star, the matchmaking is rough. It will definitely pull higher ranks into you, and it will definitely pull lower ranks into you. I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that you're queuing up with friends. If you watch streams, you'll usually see people queuing up with a friend. And that's not a bad thing, but you have to remember sometimes those friends might be higher stars or higher levels. And there's not really a level gap. I've noticed that it's an NPR gap, and a lot of the matchmaking is NPR based. It is not level based, it's not star based, it's NPR based. Which means that if you are playing with someone else who's a lower NPR, it's possible that A, that player will be in your game, or B, if you are playing with a lower level NPR, let's say I'm 30 and my friend is 25, it's possible that you'll get a 30 in your match, even though that you're NPR 20, right? And that's an issue. That's a big issue. But if they keep separating these ranks and they keep putting, I want to say, barriers? That's not the right word. If they keep filtering, there you go, that's the right word. If they filter how matchmaking is, they're gonna not have matches. Like, I want to be dead honest. There's not a lot of players to make that happen. And that's one of the issues. And I'm pretty sure that's why they don't do that, at least right now, is because they don't have enough players to filter out these matches. If you filter out one group way over there and another group over there, you're going to have even less matches than we have now. There's already an issue where we're not having full lobbies once you hit, what, Emerald? Even less than that. I'm starting to see bot games and stuff like that. So that's definitely an issue that they are going to have to remedy. And you can't really remedy that if you don't have enough players. A lot of other games do this as well. They don't make separate game modes because they start to diversify their diversify their audience. So that means that, oh, 10% over there, 25% over there, 30% over here. And if you don't have a lot of players, such as like Fortnite, they have millions of players. If you don't have a lot of players, you'll start to see queues be at 0, and you'll have like maybe 10 players over there, and then you'll have like 30 players over there, and people aren't finding matches. And so you really need to factor in the player base before they do things like that and filter out like crazy. This is why having a balanced rank system would work, because you're not separating people based off stars or levels or rank. I mean, you are separating them off of rank, but basically what I'm saying is you're not going to have people stop playing ranked because of they don't have the stats or they don't have the right character. If they had a balanced rank mode, everybody who wants to play ranked, to be serious, get better, climb the ranks, will play ranked. All the casual players that want to just play normal mode and for fun mode, they have frantic, which is all the crazy game modes, all your stars, your characters, all that extra stuff matters. And then we don't have this issue. And so that's why matchmaking is kind of crazy right now, is because they don't really have a way to fix it, or they haven't tried fixing it. I mean, honestly, Gameloft could have all the solutions that they have, and they just like, we can't implement that right now. I wish they would speak to us about it. How cool would it be to have a Gameloft person interviewed on a video like this? Oh my God. I would love that. Yo, if anybody got hookups, Gameloft, let me get an employee to talk to. Seriously, let me get an employee to talk to. I'm trying to see what's on their mind. Orangutan behind. I'm sorry. I wanted to rhyme that. But back to the point here. I definitely think that is one of the reasons. It's not like they are dumb. They understand what they need to do, but you also have to think about they have to make money. You also have to think about they don't have the player base that they used to. You have to think about all these factors. Nintendo Switch is at a disadvantage. Xbox One is at a disadvantage. PS4 is at a disadvantage, but you got PS5 loading in like that. You got an Xbox Series X loading in like that. You got computer players loading in like that. So this is kind of the issue. Like, there's a lot wrong with the game right now to really have a ranked mode, because there's still going to be disadvantages. But I think it would be a great step in the right direction by just separating the modes, because you have hardcore players and you have the for fun players. Just like League of Legends, just like Overwatch, they have different modes for those people who just kind of want to have fun and go crazy. And so that's what I think they should do. Good comment, Raiku. Let's go to the next one. So the next comment is from Poke Vaporwife. So, still chaotic as prior seasons, still got ramming, bombarding, and all-out bloodbath at the beginning of the race. I do agree. Especially with crew, you basically don't even, like, you're going to get hit by a ram, you're going to get hit by an item at the start, bomb, flame, shield, what have you, you're going to get hit. And so when they say it's a bloodbath, oh, they mean it. It's definitely a bloodbath at the start. And it's not even just at the start, it's literally throughout the entire game. Still getting rammed against the wall and stuck in corners. Another thing that happens a lot is that there are a lot of glitches because you're getting rammed. The thing is, Speedstorm has a lot of jerk movements. There's a lot of jerk movements in it. You have ramming that's a jerky movement. You have some abilities that are a jerky movement. And I think the game can't keep up with that, and it will cause a bug because you're going so fast, or because the thing just happened at a weird spot. And so that is also something they're going to need to remedy, especially to make ranked feel a lot better. I managed to get one additional racer in diamond ranking because of special events. Elizabeth Swan, the regulated races aren't too bad. I do think the regulated races are a step in the right direction, but I still feel like it's not as fun because you're still getting, like, I just hate dealing with all these character abilities in a setting where they are very strong. And you can say, well, we're all the same level, it's regulated. Yeah, but a lot of these character abilities are still overloaded. And that is the downside to Speedstorm, is that they have it so fun that it's just a little bit too much. And that causes a very painful experience, especially for a new player or someone who wants to focus on drifting and driving and they're just getting hit repeatedly. Oh, 2 seconds later, stunned. 3 seconds later, stunned. 1 second later, stunned. I just got stunned. What did I even get hit by? I got hit by something. I don't even know what happened. There is a lot of that in Disney Speedstorm, and one of the issues to remedying, or one of the issues is that has still gone unsolved. Right, we had little nerfs to Stitch and Jessie, but let's be honest, they weren't really that much of a nerf. So we're gonna need to really think outside the box here and say, well, you know, Gameloft, if we're not gonna balance these abilities so that everybody can enjoy themselves, make it so that there's a ranked mode without the abilities. That way people don't have to worry about those crazy things. And I know that might be controversial, but you know, just something to say. Let's see, let's keep moving here. I remember an update where the developers or whatever said the newest update would prevent 1v1 racing. They didn't say it would prevent it. I noticed Gameloft has some wording issues. I don't know if it's a language barrier thing, and I don't think it is. I just think that sometimes the writer does it on accident. They didn't remove it. They just reduced it. And so you're going to have to read between the lines when you're reading these patch notes. This is kind of why I want to do patch notes every time, because I want to read between the lines for you guys. Some things that they say or do are not really what they say or do. And in a situation like that, yeah, you're going to have to read between the lines, and you're going to have to say, okay, they said reduce. They didn't say take it away. Well, I had just one last night in another rank, or in another racer. I think I had 4 racers. I got placed 3rd and lost 40 or 60 points. That felt horrible. I do agree. If I can't go invisible or have some type of defense power at the start, I might as well expect to be in 6th by the 1st or 2nd turn. Absolutely correct. Players like me, myself, again, I am a hardcore crazy player, and there's a lot of us that are at the top. We can come back on situations like that because, again, we spend so many hours in this game. It's unreal. You would think it's a job, but honestly, an average player, once they're rammed or stunned at the start, especially versus someone like me or other players that just are, boom, gone, you lost. Like, you actually just lost the race off of that. And that's an issue. That's a major, major issue, which is why I think they should just remove the ramming, remove crew, and remove the character abilities in the ranked mode specifically, and just make it the ranked character bound. That way, if someone's like, oh, I'm not having much success in this lobby right now with tricksters, I'll switch to a speedster. Maybe I'll get luckier there, you know. But right now, yeah, Poke is right. It's like when you get to a level, especially when you're all the same skill level, all it takes for you to get taken out of a race is a ram at the start or a flame at the start. And some characters, even if you're all the same stats, can't catch up, period. And that is what is unfun. You'll notice you will climb a lot easier with a character that has an invisibility at the start or an invulnerability at the start than you would with a character without it, period. And that's an issue. Why are some characters better to climb than others? Why are some characters easier to climb than others? That's not a ranked mode. That is a frantic type of thing. Some characters should be better than others. Even in a game like League of Legends or Overwatch and stuff like that, yes, some characters climb easier, but it doesn't mean you straight up lose a game for picking that character. And that is what Speedstorm is about. You sometimes just straight up lose the race if you don't have that crew member at the start, or if you pick a really bad character, or I won't say bad. I don't think Speedstorm has bad characters. I just think there's other characters that are more overloaded, which means that they're great. So I'm just going to say that when you're picking a more balanced character, you will end up losing out if they're picking something way better, especially if they're picking a brawler, because good Lord Jesus, brawlers are just disgusting to play against in ranked, especially if they ram a lot. Good comment, Poke. Good comment. Let's move on to the next comment. The next comment that we have is by The Gamer. Now, I know I'm going to butcher your name, so I'm not even going to attempt. But I appreciate the comment. I appreciate all your comments, by the way. So this player says, it's kind of like a 50-50 for me. I really enjoy playing it, but there's a few things that doesn't sound right for me. Some racers are balanced with equal star level, maybe not levels, and others with 5-star characters against me, which is true. Again, the matchmaking just isn't that great. Just because you're NPR XYZ doesn't mean you have the level 5 stars or the level 5 stars. Just because you're a certain NPR doesn't guarantee you have those specific stars. And basically that is why you're running into these issues. NPR is not a good way to gauge because skill doesn't really matter as much if you just have higher stats, period. Let's keep going. Other than that, at higher rank, it becomes a battle royale with items thrown like a minigun. Yo, you never lied about that one. There are so many items in a higher level, and the thing is, they linger. They linger longer than it takes to get another. So I could put a flame trail on me and get like 2 items as that flame trail is still activated. Or a character like Pete, for example, can spin his thing really long time while still picking up other items and throwing other items. Like, how are you able to use 2 or 3 items all at the exact same time? That don't make no sense. And so when they said that, I just resonated so hard because that's how it is. And if you don't have invulnerability, if you don't have invisibility, this is why higher ranked races feel atrociously hard, because you don't have a way to really get around it. You can't outrace things that are just flying through the air constantly. You just get hit and stunned and hit and stunned. And if you're going against a brawler or something like that, or someone with a really high combat score, they don't even need to aim. You just smack them, you're stunned, you're slowed, slammed to the wall, and then that's the game for you. There's really like, a ram is basically an ability for free, and you can spam it. And even if you miss, you don't lose out on that much. That's the issue with eye level, like they were saying. It's just too much. It's like a battle royale. It's just way too much. Specials flooding the race. It's a stun fest, and it becomes unplayable. Last but not least, I think the servers need to be improved in stability. I 1000% agree with that. And honestly, that's not something a lot of players talk about, surprisingly. But I do think there's a lot of problems with the server right now. And you'll not with the synchronizing issue, but a lot of the times you'll see some of these players with having bad connections. And I was one of them, but I don't have a bad connection. So I'm going to assume they don't have a bad connection either. Now, there are some players who might have a bad connection that happens, but you'll also notice that they don't get hurt. I've had a red shield around me, basically the shield ability, but charged. And I was just touching someone and they were just driving like it was normal. What? Then there's times where it's like you will ram somebody, but they don't get hurt. You'll stun somebody, but they don't get hurt. Now, if you've ever played Mario Kart, something like this happens as well. Basically, on your screen, you'll hit them, but on their screen, they didn't get hit. And so you might be like, well, I stunned you. How are you still driving? In Mario Kart, that's what happens. But in Speedstorm, that's what happens. But also, there's the added server problem where it's just not that great. Players are just... there's just a lot of issues with how the game functions in terms of registering abilities, registering rams, registering anything. And then sometimes you're even hit by an ability and the feed doesn't show what you're hit by, which also means there's, again, synchronizing issues with the server. So there's a lot of issues with the server right now. And it's nice to see that you brought that up because, again, not a lot of players have actually like brought that up to the light. So I really like that. Let's keep reading. It's quite common for me to be jump scared by a player that's ramming on me suddenly appearing near my car and sending me to the moon. Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. Or even like not stunning an opponent at all, which again happens. Forcing me to ram twice, or seeing him/her going forward like nothing happens, or maybe seeing an opponent get teleported on 4th place while when I need it, it simply vanishes. I do agree that, I mean, the clocks are just nuts. I do agree with those. But in terms of teleporting when you hit them, I do agree. There's also moments where you'll hit them, you'll ram them, right? And then like, they'll instantly just like ram you back. And it's like, did you just not get phased? Yes, if your combat score is lower, your ram isn't going to do much. But I'm saying I've played brawlers ramming into people and like didn't phase them, and then they just ran right into me, and I'm stunned. And it's like, you didn't even get slowed. Like nothing happened. You just carried on like it's nothing. And it's kind of just like, it makes you wonder. It's like, bro, what's going on? Like, what's actually going on here? So again, I agree with that. I got it like 2 or 3 times now. I'm not joking. For now, my Goofy Mulan mic and others are stuck on NPR 28 and 29, with only Jesse that was on 31 before the D rank for multiplayer points, and probably will stay at I'm guessing Grand Champ is what you're just saying. So with that in mind, I do agree. I also don't really agree with the D ranking thing. like, why are you making me climb back up in rank and not get anything? You might as well just kept me there. You know what I'm saying? And so that is one of the things that I noticed too. Now, if it were an overall rank where it was account based, a D rank would be awesome because it's like, okay, we're resetting everybody, we're getting everybody back to normal. But you're literally de-ranking like 30 plus characters, which means I have to go back and rank all of those characters every single season. That's not fun. That is not fun. So again, I think they should just separate the modes, have a ranked mode so that's more balanced. There's no character abilities, there's no ramming, and really keeping it just basically skill based, level 1 skills. And if you're good, you climb. If you're not, you're not. And it should be account based. The rank should be account based. Then you have the frantic mode where you do need stars, levels, and whatnot to compete, but you don't actually lose rank for losing. And those can reset every season, which means you get the rewards again. So the more you, even if they make the rewards less because there's like 40 racers, I would still appreciate just a straight up reset. And don't call it a rank. Don't give me a ranked. Make it a regulated thing where the more points you get, you unlock more stuff, and just reset it every time with new stuff. You know, it gives me a reason to come back every season. It gives me a reason to constantly play that mode. If you can get 1 shard per like every 1,000 points, bruh, I'm about to be grinding my character up, you know? And if you want to just pay for an experience boost, or you just want to pay for the shards, you'll do that too. So there's ways to make money, and we can do it smartly. I don't even know if that's a word, but we could do it that way instead of the way that it's kind of ran right now. And everything's just kind of a jumbled mess right now. So again, thank you for the comment, Gamer. I do appreciate that. Let's see the next comments. Yo, ZG, I feel you. I do agree. Clocks need to go. One of the main reasons why it needs to go is because it's abused. First of all, a lot of the players, even if they're higher levels or higher stars, if they start losing, they'll just slow down on purpose. And if they get a clock, they win. Period. Another issue with that is that, let's just say you're against someone who's a high star level or a high level in general, and you are really struggling to keep up, but you're like, ooh, dude, I'm hanging in that third. Ooh, this is rough. And you put all that work for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then someone just gets a clock like that. And then it chains multiple clocks. And now you spent 2 to 3 minutes busting your butt to be third to just be put back into 6th place just because of one button. That is one of the main issues that I think is a real disgusting problem with Speedstorm right now, especially when it comes to ranked, even regulated. I mean, it appears. I don't like clocks. And I don't know, but if you go to the Disney Speedstorm post and you go to their shorts in early access, you'll notice the original teleport was actually Randall's teleport. And so the distance wasn't that far and it was very slow. If they move it back to that, that'd be great. But I think one of the reasons why they made it so that it's so far is because of the issues with the star gap and the level gap. They understand that you're getting so much more stats from starting up and leveling. And crew members, it's like nobody can keep up. So the best way to remedy this is by giving them a teleport that'll jetpack them to keep up with the person that is just clearly out cashing everybody else, or, you know, playing for a while, whatever you want to say. They have more stars, they have more levels. That's not a good remedy because, again, players are just forcing it to happen, and then you just lose the race every single time. And it happens almost every single race, especially in high ranks. So yeah, clocks do need to go. I don't even think it needs to be balanced. It just needs to go. If we have a balanced ranked mode, then clocks have no reason to be there. And then if we have I lied. Let me retract my statement. I do think there needs to be something to put players back into the race, but it needs to be something to put them to the pack, not put them ahead of the pack. And this is something that you'll see in ranked. You'll start to see the more you climb, there's multiple packs. And so there's like a behind pack, then there's like a middle pack, and then there's like an ahead pack. And based off the star level and the levels, you'll see who belongs in each pack. And you'll see that every single race if you look at the map. And that's the problem, because you have a teleport that's designed to bring you to the pack, but like the pack is spread out and separated. So where is the teleport going to keep, put you? Probably between pack B and pack A, which means you're getting in front of the person that's struggling to even keep the 3rd or 4th place. I think that if we do keep clocks in ranked, or even in frantic mode, it needs to be balanced in a way so that way we don't end up in a situation where players are just losing races because of one button, or people are cheating the system by just hanging back and waiting for the item. I do agree with you, GG. Great comment. Let's see, is there any more? Oh, nope, we're finished. Now, I know you might not have seen your comment in here, but again, I can't do every single comment. This video would be extremely long. but I do want to shoot between like a 40-minute to an hour video-ish podcast every single week. And so again, if you like this, hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, that way you're notified for the next one, and we'll have a different topic every single week. Maybe we can even try to get a Game Loft person in here. I don't know. Maybe I have to do some reaching. We might not though, but it would be really, really cool if I can say, all right, guys, we're getting an interview with the Game Loft player. Or a Game Loft player. We're getting an interview with a Game Loft employee that works on Disney Speedstorm. Let me know your questions in the comments, and I will pick the best one so we can ask them, and we can make that like a 30-ish minute like video or something like that, or however much time they give us, because that will be awesome. But thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. Again, if you guys enjoy this content, subscribe and thumbs up, because we will continue it next week if you guys enjoy it. I want to do what you guys enjoy. And of course, there's going to be more exciting content to come this week, next week. I have some plans. So make sure you stay tuned so that way you know what's coming. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, you know what I always say. Thank you guys for doing what? Popping often. Will often.